And I think that's come with the fact that you got a social media presence that says, dang, this social media presence is so good, I want to go see them in person. And that's how a lot of it works. It's through TikTok and Instagram. I saw a reel. I felt something through that reel. I want to come see if it was real. Yeah.
I like that. That feel real. That feel real.
Yeah, I think just looking at where I was 2020, let's say 2020, I was in a really dark place. At the time, there was just a lot of things that I was going through, and then, COVID that was the thing, Times it felt like nobody really cared about what I was going through or about me in general. Even if I might hang out with my friends for, I might go do something on campus, and then I go back to my room and I'm just, nobody want to be around me. No one, I don't want to be around anybody anyway. And I'm just, depressed, I'm crying, I'm hurt. And I felt like I couldn't open up because I felt like no one would care, no one would hear me out, no one wanted to hear me out. And that translated to my faith a little bit, because now I don't like who I am.
Good evening, and welcome to What's Up With That, a podcast 2, with your host, Don Brewington. That's me. Thank you for joining us and at What's Up With That, a podcast 2. This podcast offers conversations on spirituality, personal growth, and success. The podcast delves into thought-provoking conversations and insights from experts in their respective fields, offering listeners a diverse range of perspectives. Join us this evening as we engage all things spiritual religious and ask the question, what's up with that? My guest for this evening is none other than Mr. Rajay Banks, a graduate of Houston-Tillotson University, and a young man whom I affectionately call grandson. Also with us on this evening is Mr. Trevor White. Trevor is a young man who is a member of my home church. I guess it's his home church too. And that's the Mount Zion Baptist Church right here in Austin, Texas. It's a place where I have seen Trevor grow up and become a young man, a young adult. To both of you, welcome.
Yes, sir.
All right. On this evening, we want to have a conversation with Gen Z. Can I say that again? We want to have a conversation this evening with Gen Z, looking from their perspective at this generation and their spirituality, and asking the question, can we find Gen Z in church? And specifically, we want to look at teens. Specifically, we want to look at teens, and we want to look at young adults. Again, to Rajay and to Trevor, welcome. As we start this evening, I haven't said a whole lot about y'all, right? So what I'm going to ask is that you take a moment and just share a little bit more about yourselves. Okay, who's going to start?
I guess I can start.
You start, all right.
Well, again, thank you so much. Again, my name is Trevor White. I'm 24 years old. I graduated from Baylor University, and I am currently on track to get my master's in social work. I'll be graduating in May of 2026.
Okay, so you're pretty ways through the program, huh?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So what kinds of things you do for fun and excitement when you and what's that, Waco, Texas at Baylor?
Honestly, I love spending time with my friends. I love going to the movies. Because hobbies would just include, I love listening to music. I love Lego building. That's all. Being creative, you know, that's always something that I just find so much interest in and so much fun doing.
Okay.
But yeah.
Okay. Cool. So Waco, Texas. You said you're finished in 2 years. Are you looking to go into the field of social work?
Yes.
Anything specific?
I definitely wanted to go into counseling, specifically sports counseling.
Okay.
You know, being around athletics all my life, I've always wondered, you know, especially once I got to Baylor, is like, what are these college students feeling? Because at the end of the day, you know, we're still kids. You know, we just graduated high school. Now, all of a sudden, you know, for people that make it to college to play sports, you know, now it's not just a couple hundred people looking at you. Now it's almost pretty much the entire world. So everything you're doing is almost under like a magnifying glass. So how does that make you feel? What are you going through in that?
Okay, so that's saying that athletes, that's pressure. Mm-hmm. And that's somewhere they need help and guidance as they're engaging all of that pressure and life itself. Mm-hmm. Okay, awesome. Thank you, sir. How about it, Rajay, grandson?
Yes, sir.
How about a grandson?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Grandpa.
All right.
Yes, indeed, brother. Trevor. Thank you, brother. Yes, I'm Rajay Banks. I graduated from Houston Tillis University in 2023 with my business management degree. And when I was at HT, I served as Mr. Houston Tillis University. I mentioned that because that's probably one of the things that I would say made the biggest impact on me after leaving. It put me in a position to be ready for some of the things that I face now on a day-to-day basis. So that's a little bit about me, and I am excited to be here.
Okay, so what are you doing now?
Currently, I work at my eldest brother, Jim, DWS Fitness Studio, and I am a personal trainer / boxing instructor / whatever I need to be in the moment for the people that are around me. So that's right now.
Okay, so you can say a little bit more about the boxing instructor,
Yes,
because that's something near and dear to your heart. Can you say something about that?
Yes, sir. Yeah, I've been boxing for almost 8 years now, and I've been teaching it to others pretty much that whole time. As I've been teaching myself and learning from others, I've been also teaching others what I've been learning. So now I'm at a position where I no longer compete, but I still train myself as though I got a fight coming up every week. I try to push myself so that every time I show up for my clients or the people that are under my wing, I'm able to show up in truth, because I'm doing behind the scenes exactly what I'm asking them to do, you know, and in the moment.
So if you need to show them how to do it, what to do, you don't just talk the game, you walk the walk.
Yes, sir.
So you say trainer, so is that just training for boxing, or is that also weight training, other kinds of things?
Yes, sir. So some specific clients is just for boxing / boxing strength and conditioning training. Mm-hmm. And then I have a range of other clients from different age groups who are specifically for personal training, just to lose weight and to begin to incorporate a for real healthy lifestyle is the goal for most of the clients who just come in just to train strength and conditioning, or just to train for aesthetic appeal outwardly, but also real health inwardly too. Yes, sir.
Awesome. And you are enjoying it?
I love it. I feel I'm right where I need to be.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate both of you gentlemen being here this evening.
Yes, sir.
Have learned from you all through the years, believe it or not. So I appreciate that. And I think that you can help enlighten us, give us some insights on this evening as we look at Gen Z and their spirituality and their maybe church involvement. Right? So specifically that group of between 14, say 19, yes, I might be wrong, so we want to hear from Gen Z to find out what you think, but what I've seen through my years is that oftentimes that's a group that's missing in church, right? And also want to look at young adults. And young adults, typically in our churches, we give it a broad span, right? Sometimes we'll almost say 18 to 40. By the time you get to 40, 18-year-old, see somebody 35, they said, oh, they old, right? So I think sometimes you can sort of break that up a little bit. So I'm going to say, when we talk about young adults, looking at those young adults who are between 20, 30, maybe those very early 30s, like 32. But that age between, say, 20 and 30, 32. Okay, those are the teens and youth and the young adults that we want to sort of talk about and hear what you say.
Yes, sir.
Or where you say they are in 2025 with Gen Z. As we move forward, going to hope that as we engage, we'll learn something. I also understand that, as we say, you're here to help us with Gen Z. I also understand that because you are part of Gen Z, that nobody is the same. That we're all different, right? And we have different ideas, ways of doing, ways of being. But we're gonna let you try tonight anyway. Is that cool?
That's all right.
We're gonna let you try tonight anyway. Want to hear your voice. And I think a good start is to just hear a little bit about your faith journey, right? What has your faith journey been like? What has your experience, be it in church, be it out of church, what has your faith journey and experience been like? Okay? And would love for you to share that with us. How about
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I was baptized at 8 years old, and I do remember my baptism, and I do remember it being my own decision in my own way at the time. I was excited about it, and it wasn't until I was 18 going into my freshman year of college, where I really had a moment with the Most High, where I understood that I didn't necessarily belong to myself, and I felt convictions, and I felt that my actions had an effect on others that was beyond just, physical, and that right there kind of put me on a course to where I began to seek for myself. It began to become Rajay's faith rather than mama and pops and grandmother and, whoever's in front of me. It became mine because I began to seek that relationship with the Most High for myself, to really have faith in the Lord Jesus Christ for myself. And throughout college, that faith walk began to really unfold. I got to meet Reverend Brewington. Yeah, I'm sorry. I got to meet Reverend Brewington, who I consider as my grandfather. And really and truly, the greatest purpose he served in my life, it has been his push to make me do the work. And he taught me how to study, how to go beyond just the surface level of what you think Scripture is saying, and how to actually look at context and then take that context to the Lord, rather than thinking that, we understand everything at face value. So that is some of my faith journey up until this point.
Okay. So it sounds like your biggest growth and your greatest involvement was college years?
Yes, sir.
And not so much during the younger years?
Yes, sir.
Okay, cool. Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
How about it, doctor?
From my faith journey, it was also, I do remember my baptism. I feel like that's such a core memory. That's not something that you just forget, no matter how old you get. I remember being baptized. Remember the feeling, and I know that it was also a decision that I made for myself. That wasn't something that I spoke to my mom about or my meemaw about. That was something that I wanted to do for myself. And very young, so you make that decision, but at the same time, you don't know all of what is to come with that.
Okay.
So growing up, I went to a private school, so faith is still there. It's still taught. We have class, we have chapel. Then transitioning to Baylor, still chapel, still private, institution. But your faith and, your spiritual journey, that's something that you are also dealing with. It can be influenced by these other things that you're during, but it's also something that you have to figure out, within yourself. And it definitely came when during my time at Baylor. They're struggling. I'm not at home anymore, so I can't rely on my family as much as I was. Majority of my friends were not with me anymore. It's not like high school. I see them every day. Now I'm not with that many people that I always hung out with. Mm-hmm. And so there's that struggle of, I feel like I don't have anyone. Okay. So that's where your faith comes in to test. And, there's doubts because am I struggling with my classes? Now, all these things are hitting you at once and you don't really know what you can do. So you really have to just fall back on your faith and also be patient, because sometimes, I would want things to go a certain way. And I realized that that's not what God has for my life, and it's hard because you don't know what it is until it happens, and it's like, well, that's not exactly what I wanted, but what God wanted for me wasn't terrible either. It was even better than what I actually thought, so my spiritual journey is just something I always say it's in constant growth. It's never something that I'm going to say, I'm good, I don't need to do anything else because God got me, Yeah. It's always, learning something every day.
Okay, so it's not about, I know I've arrived, I'm good.
Right.
Okay. You said a lot, but I think you missed some pieces, right? Knowing a little bit about both of you. You were active in church. I mean, you talked about going to a private church-related school. I guess that's going to be from elementary on through high school. You go to Baylor, and yes, Baylor is a church-related institution. It's Baptist, right? And so you find yourself there. But you also were active in church. Right. What was that like for you when we talk about growing up in church? And you were actively engaged in youth, and I'm not sure if we go all the way up to young adults, but certainly youth ministries that I know.
Yes, sir. It was good. You start from being in the choir stand, then you a youth usher, then as you get older, you start becoming more involved, or you're trying to become more involved. So, and then you realize there's other things that are outside of the church that you're in. There's different conventions, church conventions that you can be on, board. You could be a board member, so now you're not just in your church, but there's other churches around city of Austin or the state of Texas or even around the country. So growing up, that was what I was surrounded by. And in that, you learn more about yourself, you learn more about others, you learn more about what is faith, and you can try to figure out what your faith is. Where does your faith lie in? And so as I grew up, that's what I was, always seeing. So I was never questioning it in the sense of like, well, why am I doing this? Why do I have to do that? Why do I have to do that? but also not saying that it's just like, okay, I'm gonna just do it because that's what everybody else is doing. It's, do I feel this connection? And if I don't, then let me figure out why. If I do, then I want to stay with that, you know. And then I started even till now, you know, being in young adult ministry, not just at my church here back at home in Mount Zion, but also the church that I attend in Waco, being Pleasant Olive. You know.
Okay, so you are active as well in Waco. So church has been always a part of your life. It sounds like there is a process. You're starting the choir. Does everybody start in the choir stand? Does everybody start in the choir stand? I guess it's a good question, maybe. So do you see teens in church in significant numbers? And we're talking teens, remembering teens, that group 14 through 19?
Yeah, I would say yes and no. I've been to some churches where there was a great population of teens, there was a great population of young adults. It's just a great population, kind of a mixed crowd. And then I've also been to churches where the crowd seemed to be late 30s and up. So it was like you didn't really see a space for the young teens or the quote unquote young adults. And the cultures of those churches are always very much different too, you know.
What do you mean?
So usually when you do have a large presence of young teens and young adults, you will have how I'm gonna describe a more colorful environment, a more lighthearted environment. With teens or young adults, you have to be adaptable with them because attention is much shorter now than you have with some older generations or the older upper in the 30s and up. The attention span what I'm speaking on is the attention span for the word. Relation of the teens and the young adults when they are teaching in those ways. But when you see it more like a more rigid teaching doctrine, and it's nothing wrong with it. It's just that even if the doctrine and the teaching is good, if they are unreceptive because they can't resonate with how the message is being delivered, then you miss them either way. So you only are capturing the heart of a certain age group rather than, you know, the whole spectrum. So
you're saying they're there and they're not there. From what I hear you saying, there are some churches that are meeting their needs for Gen Zs. And you see the teens,
yes, sir.
Young adults.
Yes, sir.
The places where you don't see them are the places, don't want to put words in your mouth,
Yes, sir.
are the places where churches are overly steeped in tradition?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. That's a great way of putting it. And that's what I'm getting at. Yes, sir.
Okay. How about it, Trevor?
I would say, because I thought about this, you know, with not even like just with this question, but just as I've gotten older, I would say once I got to college, like once I left, I realized, you know, majority of my friends, like we were the teens. Yeah. You know, this was us. So we all graduated high school. We all went off to college, went our own separate ways, whether it was just an hour away in like another city or we in a whole other state, you know. So I noticed that whenever I would come back home, you know, not many of my friends were there anymore. That I went to church, you know, we all would sit next to each other. Now I'm sitting sometimes by myself.
Okay, so are you seeing new teens coming up and there?
I would say the young kids, they're now, who were like babies when we were the teens, I would say now they are starting to emerge. At least every time that I now will go back home and go to Mount Zion again, I'll see that. But in the time of my age, being that like 18, 19, I didn't see that because that was us. It was really just maybe me and one of my friends that would be there. And sometimes I would be questioning because I'm like, you're back home, aren't you? You know, coming down. It's like, oh, I'm too tired. Or I went out, you know, I was late out last night. I didn't feel like it, you know. And that was sometimes myself as well. During my undergrad years, you know, it'd be, if I went out on Saturday night and I didn't come back till 2 or 3 a.m., it's like I'm too tired, you know.
Okay.
So, but then as I got older in that like 20-ish range, it was, you know, am I really that tired, or do I just not want to go all of a sudden, you know? So it's like, if I can go out and party with my friends, hang out with my friends, do anything late night, I don't see why I still have that same energy to get up and go to church, you know?
Yeah. So some of what I'm hearing is you were raised and you came through the youth ministry.
Right.
So there is that piece where the church breeds its own young folk. That you're seeing it now in those who were the babies when you were a teen,
Right.
16, 17, are now the teens. You have moved. But it's that the children growing up in the church. So it's I don't know if it's the best choice of words, but it's breeding the young folk for the sake of Christ in the church. So that means that it's the kind of ministry that maybe is exciting, the kind of stuff he was talking about, maybe, I don't know, that retains them. But that somewhere there might be a gap for a season while they're growing into their teens.
Right.
Is that fair?
I would say it's fair to say that it is kind of like a transition in a way. You know, me being, you know, when I was little, you know, you see the teens, it's like, okay, you see them in the choir stand, you see them leading service when it would be like youth church on certain Sundays. Then they leave to go to college, so now you're kind of like starting to emerge more into that. And then you go off to college, and then you come back to see, you know, what's going on. And
It's almost that cycle.
right, it's like
It's almost that cycle. So we can say that your church on Zion has done an effective job at developing
right
children into teens, into young adults.
And it's not to say every single person, because I know that there's some who have, you know, how I used to sit with or sit behind, sit in front of. Then we go off to college, you know, we get older, go off to college, come back, and it's not the same amount, you know. So and it can be because they just moved, or they just no longer want to go to either this specific church or church in general, and they'll come back every once in a while, and it's like, where you been? I haven't seen you in so long. You know, it's one of those situations for some people, not majority, but for some.
There are some who might sort of fall out and not attend.
Right.
He mentioned Rajay,
Yes, sir.
grandson,
Yes, sir.
mentioned non-traditional church reaching young folk in a different, more vibrant, energetic way. Does that have merit and value sort of across the board? And I'm going to believe, and I know, is ministry, young adult ministry, youth ministry, different now than it was when you came through?
I can only speak towards Mount Zion, since that's what I've seen most of the time.
Okay.
For us, there was children's church, where, they would say, oh, if you're this age, you can get up and go to the fellowship hall. And our youth pastor time being Reverend Horton, he would be the one that would teach for that Sunday.
I'm going to jump in a little bit. So Reverend Horton is now Dr. Horton. He's pastor. You have a new youth pastor. Do they do the same thing, or does the person who's there now do it differently than it was done before?
It is definitely done differently than it was before. And it's because it's two different people now. So they're going to do different things. It doesn't, they don't want to do the exact same thing over and over again.
It also has something to do with they're about 4 generations, well, at least 3 generations apart, right? Maybe even 4, right? So with that, maybe have some reason for the difference. Time allows things sometimes to change, right? And we get the vibrant understanding, and we really will have the current youth pastor on the end of the month, towards the end of the month. And yes, I think he's more vibrant, and they do a different kind of the light stuff when they're in the back. So it's a very different look to the youth teen ministry now than it was.
Because
then
one thing I'm thinking about now is that it's good to retain those who were brought up in the church, but how do you attract those who have no background, don't know the church lingo, the church jargon, like who walk into a church and they hear somebody up there talking and they see a lot of people nodding and saying amen and saying these other slang terms, throwing it out there, and it's like, this is a whole new environment.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like, how does that individual come to know Christ when they weren't brought up from, almost like graduating levels?
That's fantastic. How do you reach the unchurched? Because there are a lot of young folk.
True.
Who've had a totally different experience, right? A lot of young folk who've had your experience, right? I think your connection, your God connection, for you emerged while you were in college, and not so much in your younger years. So that it's a good question. It's a good question. How do we, and are we reaching the unchurched?
True.
Those who were raised, and that's the difference, right? The unchurched. You're talking about those who've been churched all their lives, and they're coming up through the ministries. That's where they were. That's where they've always been, and it's what they do, right? As opposed to, I'm coming in, I don't know, I ain't never been here. In fact, I do remember a couple of years ago, a young lady, while I was still chaplain at HT, walked up and said, I really enjoyed chapel today. That was my first time in a church. I said, you mean for chapel? She said, no, that's the first time I've ever been in
church.
The worship experience.
Period, point blank.
Right?
Yeah.
So there's a critical piece as we talk about those who have been churched, right? Because at some point they do decide, all I know is church, I need a break. Right? But then you have those who have never been churched. And the question is, when they come through the doors, if they come through the doors, how do we reach them? Gen Z. What do you think Gen Z is looking for in church? And when I say what they're looking for in church, I would say they're looking for friends, a place to hang out. What are they looking for? And that's one question. I'm going to stop there. I'm going to, because I have a second part of that. But let's just take that.
I think if I was someone who had not grown up in the church and I was seeking a church, seeking a relationship with God, I would want it to be somewhere where I feel welcomed, where I feel comfortable, and where I feel a connection, not just with God, but with others around me. You know, are these people going to help me, or are they here to just judge everything I do?
What you mean?
I would say if judging just decisions that I've made in the past, or maybe still am doing, but trying to work on myself, you know, because I don't know if I would want to be somewhere. Like, there's nothing wrong with being like, hey, maybe you shouldn't do that anymore. You know, if you do it in a positive way. But if you're just going to straight up, like, you wrong, you you all this other things because you made this one mistake in your life, or you made this one decision in your life, then I don't really feel like I'm welcomed in that way, you know. So I feel like as teens, we would want to be accepted, and where we can be ourselves and where we can also learn.
Yeah.
So.
Yep, I believe that most come seeking community through God. So they're looking for community, but they want it to be in a God environment. And I think that's why church hurt is such a big thing, because people
Church what?
Church hurt.
Church hurt.
Church hurt
Okay.
is such a big thing now, because people come looking for people, and they expect those people to, you know, embody Christ. And when people come and they find out that other people are just as human as they are, it's like there's a letdown there. You know, they thought they was gonna walk into this perfect community, and they end up walking into a psych ward, you know, because we all are, in a sense, spiritually ill. And as much as we shoot for perfection, we know that we're gonna come up short. But it's about allowing those people who are coming in to know that too ahead of time.
Okay.
Like, hey, we ain't, you coming in to be my brother and to lock arms with me, and my sister to lock arms with me. But, you know, I'm bleeding just like you bleeding on this battlefield. You know, I'm not invincible, you're not invincible. And I think when we meet people as for real humans, brother to brother, sister to sister, like that, then people are receptive of that. That's what will make a person stay, because it's real. But when we try to draw this image of perfection, at some point people gonna see behind the veil. So it's like, you might as well tear the veil, you know, in the first, you know, take the Band-Aid off in the first moment, so that people can make a real choice on, do I want to pursue God in this community of people? Because you can go to another church, and that's all right, as long as you get your faith implanted where it needs to be in Christ.
Okay. You said something, and you hit on something. We're all broken, and you mentioned church hurt. Has a church hurt some young folk?
I think it can. You know, I've seen, again, and it's what I've said earlier, you know, some of my friends who whether I'm sitting with them, sitting behind them, sitting in front of them, we all sit in a certain area. And I've seen them no longer want to come, no longer want to be around.
And that's because?
I think, I've always said, I don't think it's the church itself. I think it can be people within the church, you know, because there's times where I've felt as youth, we are not recognized. Growing up, you know, I felt like we were kind of pushed to the side a little bit. Okay. And it's make more room for the grown adults, you know, and you teens need to you can be over here, do your little whatever, you know, do your little praise dance, do your little mime ministry, but keep it, you know, on a time limit. Whereas we as the grown adults, we can talk for as long as we want. We can give all the gifts, and we can talk, you know, say these long testimonies and all these other things. And if church goes over however long it does, then oh well, but y'all can't do that, you know. So, and it can also just be certain people that might, again, be judgmental, you know. So I think that when it's church hurt, it's not so much the actual church, but it can just be the people that are surrounding you. So,
but sometimes the challenge is it's hard to separate the people from the church. And if we're actually real The people are the church.
Right.
You said something else, that we all are broken.
Yes, sir.
And that somewhere, when we enter that place where it seems like everybody is perfect and just walking with God, and when we realize and we see that church or that person espousing or being the church, faltering, not maybe quite doing it right, what we see is the hypocrite, and it's a turnoff.
Yeah.
Right? So let's go back. So we've got to be careful in the church. Adults,
True.
those who are to teach, you talk about those who are to teach, need to be careful. And I think what you said, it's a matter sometimes of how you do it.
Absolutely.
That there is a way. And what I'm hearing, I think maybe, is that even though we are teens, maybe teens, we are still deserving of respect.
Right.
Is that fair?
True.
Okay. What are these looking for from the church? And when I say from the church, you think you got it? You want to go with it? Or do I need to explain what I mean when I say from the church?
I'm tracking, but
You tracking?
explanation is good for those watching, I believe.
say you track it. I need that term.
Yeah.
When I say, what are you looking for from the church? Are you really looking for growth? Are you really looking maybe for a God relationship? Are you looking to be better? Or am I coming because, man, she was good in high school and I couldn't talk to her. So maybe we can talk to the church.
Yeah.
What are these?
Yes, sir.
What is your generation looking for from church?
From the church, for me, definitely growth and connection. I'm not one that's just there just to be there.
Okay.
I definitely would like to hopefully learn something while I'm there.
You said learn something. What you mean?
Whether knowingly or unknowingly,
Okay.
there could be, it could be something that I'm going through, or I might think I'm going through. I might not even realize I was going through something. And you can hear the word, or you can hear the song, you can hear anything, and it can touch you in a certain way that's just like, whoa, I didn't even realize that's what I really needed to hear. I needed to hear that, So it's, am I here because I want to learn, I want to hear, I want to change, I want to leave better than I came in? Or is it just, I just came to sit down and just because my mom made me,
Okay.
And that's not how, I was also not raised in that way where it's, you going to church because I said so.
Okay.
There was, I'm going, yes, because go to church on Sundays, go to church, Wednesday night, all that kind of stuff. But it wasn't, you better go to church or you in trouble, you better go to church or whatever. It wasn't like a pounding, you need to go, you better go, like I'm being forced to.
Right.
I never felt forced, and it's because I wasn't. My family never said, you're going. It was like, hey, we're going to go to church. And it's like, all right, let's go,
Okay.
Even at that young age, and even now, I've never, now, of course, when I was on my own at Baylor, there's that like, ooh, do I really want to go? Because I was out last night, but definitely learning. I want to grow. I want to learn. I don't want to just sit there and be like, all right, just was here for an hour, bye,
Okay. You want something from it. Mm-hmm. Okay. And when you say I want growth, is there a specific kind of growth that Gen Zs are looking for? Are they looking to grow in their faith?
It's a yes and no, because I believe no matter why an individual is led, I believe they are being led there. So if it is because there's a young lady that they see, you know, I believe the Most High has a great sense of humor.
Okay.
And he will allow what needs to be used in order for you to show up and be where you're supposed to be. And what gets you through the door doesn't really matter. It's about, you know, what makes you stay. I believe when people get in the door and they are sincerely met with individuals who are sincerely trying to walk this thing out, you know, and I use the word sincerely and not perfectly or anything of that nature, because I believe God honors sincerity. Simply sincerely wanting better, wanting to grow a relationship with him in itself is satisfying to the Most High, I believe. And so
So it's the strive, it's the struggle, it's understanding that even as teens, that you lifing.
True.
Right? And it may not be lifing like adults life, right?
Yeah.
But you're lifing, and there's some things that you have to deal with, have to contend with in your world, and you are looking. And you're hoping that you get it. Are your questions being met? That the kind of questions that help you in the growth process?
Yes, I'll say yes, and I'll leave it at this on why, because I think we in a time where this generation understands that if you want knowledge and understanding, you can go get it. You can go do your own research. And I believe even little kids are aware of that. They know how to use Google, if anything.
All right.
And be it they use Google to ask a question, or be it they go to an adult to ask a question, or go to someone that's just close to them. They're going to go ask those questions, though. And our goal is just hoping that they go to the right places to ask those questions, so that they can get not just clear answers, but true answers, because you can hear something that sounds so good, but it be so wrong, you know? So we want to make sure that when they are asking questions, that it ain't just being fed back to them by ChatGPT, who has no soul, but it's being fed back from somebody who has a soul, who's lived experiences, because that's what real wisdom is. And that's what the youth, be it young adults or be it teenagers or be it even adolescents, that's what's not just, who cares if it's what's wanted, it's what's needed, you know?
So do you, as you have your teachers, your leaders, do you, as Gen Zs, are you looking for the traditional answers that we get, or are you looking for something that is deeper, maybe?
I think it could be a mix of both.
Okay.
Because again, like everyone's journey is different. So how it's going to reach you might be different than how it reaches me.
Okay.
So, because I might hear something and I'm like, I understood that 100%. I know what you mean. I get you. You know, that helped me a lot. I needed to hear that. Not I wanted to hear that, but I needed to hear that. But somebody else would be like, I only got like a little bit of that. I didn't even hear what he said, you know? So I think it just comes down to just an open mind and a bit just understanding. And
Does that also filter maybe into going and asking the questions? As you have the questions, Google and all of that is cool. You know, you can get some answers. But that sometimes maybe take the time to go and ask, quote unquote, the preacher.
right. It's okay to have multiple sources. You know, it's not just this one thing Because this one thing might not have every single answer you're looking for.
So are teens, young adults, are they going to more than one source? Are they just, listening to you? Are they just listening to what the pastor is saying? But are they going back and checking pastors today? Is that what I'm hearing? That you have a potential and possibility of doing that?
Yeah.
And that someone actually doing it?
Yeah. Today is like the time of like freedom of speech, because anybody could pull out their cell phone and go on a rant and say some things that sound really convincing and really compelling, and voice some questions that sound like, oh man, that's gonna stomp anybody who, you know what I mean? They ask some good questions about God. And so why does God allow this? And you look at the question at face value, you see like, oh, it's a valid question. But when you understand, at least somewhat you've been given understanding of the nature of God, you understand why these questions are silly or foolish, because we don't even know, most of us don't even know how the blood in our body is circulating through the body.
Now I'm going to ask you, are there any foolish and silly questions?
Yeah, I believe so, because God calls things foolish. He labels certain things foolish. So questions would have to be in that category of, like, I think God thinks there are some foolish questions that man, quote unquote, desires to know, not because man wants to actually know truth, but because man wants to rebel. Man wants to feel like, I'm resisting God. Yeah, I stomped you, God. I got you. You know, that's the same way the enemy tempted Christ in the wilderness, was trying to get him to indulge in something that he himself knew was foolishness.
Okay. But I'm going to say that while we're not Christ, right? Is there something to be said about, I don't know what I don't know?
Yeah.
And if I don't know, to ask, maybe is wisdom more than foolishness?
So it's
because I've got to get to the point that now when I think you said that trying to stump God, well, that's different, right? Because now I'm trying to show you. But if I'm asking from the place of, I don't know what I know, I don't know what I don't know, and if I'm going to make wise, then it's incumbent upon me to ask.
That's the
no matter how foolish
Right.
I think it may sound. Is that?
Yeah, I think, definitely, like you said, it's based off the intention. Now, I don't know if this is related, but just based off intention, I've had, a friend of mine, they asked if I was upset with them because they got drunk last night. And not saying like, oh, I don't like when people get drunk or anything like that. I never said anything like that. They just asked like, oh, are you mad at me? And I said, why? It's like, because I was out last night and I got really drunk. And I just had to think about it. I'm like, well, was that your intention? Or was that just something that happened? So it's like, it was one of those, I don't know. I'm not mad at you for anything that you've done, but are you asking me to put judgment on you or be mad at you because of something that you did? And why do you want me to do that at that same time? So it's like, well, you got to think about it. Is it getting drunk what's wrong, or was it the intention to get drunk, meaning like, oh, tonight I want to drink so much I black out and I don't remember what happened? Yeah. Is that the intention, or was that just something that unfortunately happened to you? So I think it does, come down to the intent. What's the intention?
Okay. I'm going to ask a question, and I'm going to think the answer is yes. Right? I'm going to ask it anyway. Okay. In your faith journey, and as we look at Gen Z, are you getting what you need to navigate the challenges of life and understanding and having been in education probably most of my life, in higher education for over 30 years, there are challenges in life, right? It's hard. sometimes. RC is getting what they need to be able to navigate and sustain themselves as they engage the challenges of life. And maybe that's for those who express a faith, right? Maybe going a little bit too far, but I'm gonna believe you tracking.
Yes, sir.
And you're gonna be with. So you're getting what you need to sustain yourself through the challenges, or is it that it's a faith that's good when I find myself in church, chapel, but when I leave, because I don't want to be a standout, I put my faith on the shelf.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the sincerity piece still. It's like, if you're showing up to chapel to check something off your list for the day to say I did this, then when you leave, you've already got your reward or your reasoning for going to say that I went. And then you have others who in sincerity are going because they know I'm about to go get some knowledge, some tools, some understanding to go wield that in this world. So they understand that I'm coming to be filled in order to operate out here, rather than I'm coming to say that I came, or I'm coming to clap along, to sing along, and to be along with the people. But as soon as this is over with, I'm right back in chaos that I still have yet to gather the tools and understand and to know how to apply the wisdom, and so that my life actually reflects the life of Christ that he desires for me to live on earth.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I've seen and been a part of both in that way of I'm just going just to go, and I'm going because I actually want to be here. I want to learn. I want to grow. I want to feel that connection. I want to feel that understanding, and I want to also feel welcomed. And I'll speak on chapel, and I guess because chapel goes with the just to say I went, and church being because I want to. Speaking on it in the sense of just based off where I went to college, chapel was something that you had to go to as a freshman. Okay. They say, oh, you're not being graded, but you were being graded.
It's credit, right? Some particular institutions, it's credit.
Based off of your attendance. So it's one of those like, were you there? That's how
you get graded.
Checking off, having to swipe your ID that says I was here, so I never felt a connection in that way of like, okay, I'm kind of being forced in a way to go. So it's not like I'm going on because I want to. And even the message wasn't much of a message. It was more like, come join my organization outside, so it's like, so I just sat here for, 55 minutes just to hear you talk about your organization, and then at the end, it's like, because I believe in God, thank y'all. All right, walk off stage. Let's go. Swipe your card so we know that you were here. So it always felt like we just here just because you want us to be here rather than because we want to be here.
We're church-related school, and it's part of that symbolizes who we are. So we go through the motions,
right?
But nothing.
There's not
no real content, or
at least with my college. At high school, it was still not much of a requirement. But that's just where we went. It's like, all right, time for chapel. But it wasn't like doors are closed, teacher standing at the door, you're not getting out till we dismiss you type of, it wasn't like that. And you could feel a connection. I could feel a connection during that time, but transitioning into college, it was like, okay, you just kind of had me here just because at times, or at least really majority of the time.
So can I ask you this, brother? What do you mean by feel the connection?
I would say feel a spiritual connection. Do I feel spiritually connected to what I'm hearing, what I'm listening to, what I'm seeing, to the people around me? Or am I just sitting next to somebody because the seat was available and because I walked in late or they walked in late or anything like that, or because I'm just being forced to go, you know?
Amen. And so what are those things that were your indicators to let you know, like, you know what, the presence of the Holy Spirit is here, or I'm feeling something? Because it sounds like you said, like the people you sit next to, you named some things within the environment. And then were there any like kind of signals within yourself that kind of point you towards like, this is real right here, this is true, I'm right where I need to be? Like what lets you know this ain't it, and what lets you know this is it, practically, for somebody that's watching?
I would say what is it for me is it kind of just goes with my body language. You know, sometimes I could be just slouched down. It's like, all right, whatever. But if I'm, kind of like, whoa, wait a minute, kind of, you feel it, you're just like, whoa. And it could be something that the pastor said, something that somebody else next to you said, a lyric in the song, how the music feels, it could be the bass of the music, something, anything, But I guess what's not it, I think when people try to make it about themselves, I think or when they try to pressure you into doing things. Like I was, me as well as my family, I don't like, y'all better get up and clap your hands or you don't love God.
Yeah.
God, he been too good. You must not love him because you still sitting down. It's like, everybody praises different. Everyone has a different journey. My journey might not be, I'm going to stand up every time. I'm going to clap my hands every time. I'm going to say amen. I'm going to say hallelujah, like someone else, So I don't think you should be the judge of what my love for God is or what my faith is, what my spiritual journey is, So that's an immediate like, okay, I don't feel that connection. If you making it seem like I don't love God just because I didn't do what you said to do, in that sense of you better stand up, you better clap your hands. And if you don't, you must not love God. It's like, so that's an immediate like no for me.
Call that a guilt trip call to action.
Right.
Make me feel bad to get me to act and do as you want me to do for your personal gain, because you want to hear some applause, because you want to feel like that what you're saying is of value. But if what you're saying is of value, that room might be completely silent, and nobody might not be saying nothing because there's a lot going on within them and convictions. So, I feel you on that. I am turned away from environments where there's that continuous like force of engagement. And because I think naturally, if you really moving by the Spirit and teaching by the Spirit, then the Spirit will do all the moving. And it won't take all of those call to actions, all those look at your neighbors, all those like things that are supposed to just keep you in the basically the what we supposed to do at church, what we supposed to say at church. I think that right there, again, somebody coming in that's not used to that type of stuff, that stuff feel culty. Like everybody, oh, you got to turn to your neighbor. Damn, I just came here just to, it's like, is that what Christ came to? When you look at how he taught and how he preached, he spoke in simple terms and he spoke in power. And I think we do a lot of hooping and hollering with little show of actual power. And I'm not saying miracles and healing power. I'm just saying simple power to where someone walked in and when they were leaving out with the understanding a little bit more of who Christ is because of who was standing before them or who was sitting next to them.
Okay, I'm going to ask a question. Are you at the same place? Now, this is a personal question, I guess. Are you at the same place now in your spiritual journey as you were 5, 8 years ago?
I would say no, I'm not, because was it 5 years ago? Yeah, actually, yeah, 5 years ago.
Let's go 8 to 10 years ago.
8 to 10 years.
Now, for y'all, that's going to be because if I say 8 to 10 years, y'all 8 to 10 years, it might almost put y'all back to being children. So that I'm not sure if that's going to really work here or not. But we're going to try it anyway.
Man, I really want to speak on that 5 one because that was like 2020-ish.
Okay, so 5 years ago, I mean, in 5 years, you grow, right? You change, so
Right.
5 years, you grow.
Yeah, I think just looking at where I was 2020, let's say 2020, sophomore year, I was in a really dark place. At the time, there was just a lot of things that I was going through, and then, COVID that was the thing, so I felt like or just at times it felt like nobody really cared about what I was going through or about me in general. Even if I might hang out with my friends for, I might go do something on campus, and then I go back to my room and I'm just, nobody want to be around me. No, I don't want to be around anybody anyway. And I'm just, depressed, I'm crying, I'm hurt. And I felt like I couldn't open up because I felt like no one would care, no one would hear me out, no one wanted to hear me out. And that translated to my faith a little bit, because now I don't like who I am. Mm-hmm. So it got to a point where I'm like, I don't even want to look at myself in the mirror, because I was just like, I don't like who I am. I don't like how I look. Everything in my life is bad or terrible. Nothing is good, and then you have that question of like, just, I'm praying for this, I'm praying for that. Where is it at? And so, but it was also in that time was when I realized God really does have a sense of humor, because there's times when we ask for things we want it so fast, we want it right now, and then it happens. We weren't even expecting it, but then we realized, wow, this is what I've been praying for, and it finally happened, and it happened when I least expected it. So sometimes you just gotta just gotta be like, all right, God, I see what you're trying to do, and so that helped me get through the things that I was going through, and it's helped me even now, okay. So it's that growth, and it's that continuous growth. I know there's gonna be times where I feel like, God, where you at? I wanted this, I prayed for this, it ain't here yet. And then out of nowhere it happens, and I'm just like, all right, you gotta just be patient and let God do what he said he's going to do. We might not understand it in the moment, but sooner or later it's like, so that's what that was for. So that's what this was. It didn't happen exactly how I wanted it to, but it still happened.
So you've learned how to wait.
Yes.
You've learned how to wait.
Yeah, I have a very impatient nature at times, because again, I might want things to go a certain way, and if it doesn't go a certain way, then it was quote unquote terrible, or it was bad, it just wasn't great, so yeah, that growing up, I would say, oh yeah, I was patient. It's like, nah, I was very impatient at times. I would be like, can this hurry up, please, so that was something that I'm still working on, just learning how to just, be still in that way, be still, know God is God. He still got you. He's still here. Even at times that you might not feel like it, but he's still there, so that's me looking at 5 years, looking at now, You
want to answer that, or?
I'm gonna let that be and leave that one alone, because I think you summed it up well, because that season of life, I feel like every young man, young woman are going to be faced with at some point in time, be it in your early 20s, be it in your later teens, be it in your whatever. I feel like you got to go through that season of what I'm gonna call questioning, you know, and sometimes you ask questions that are so heavy that you do fall into almost like a state of depression, because you can't answer certain questions without allowing time to unfold certain things, you know, and until you relinquish that control, it will be a fight. You will be wrestling. You will be tired. You will be exhausted. You will find yourself depressed. But I think the lesson in that season right there specifically is that sooner or later you realize that trusting is all that you can do if you do want the peace if you do want peace in the wait. All you can do is trust, because you can wrestle your way through the waiting season. You just gonna get there and be like, dang, I did all that. I was tripping and I still got it. And it's better than I even expected. And so that right there teaches you for the next season. You see, you like, oh no, I ain't about to fight these battles that ain't supposed to even be fought when I know it's about to work out for my good. Like, you learn how to really just chill and relax, because now, you know, I imagine that you won't have too many more of those seasons of those depressions because of that season though. So that season served its purpose, even though it was hard. And those are the seasons that we rarely want to speak about, like really get in there about speaking about the nights where you have to cry, for real. And nobody see the tears. Nobody know what's happening. And you still got to wake up and go do life and show up for the people around you. That's seasons where real power is cultivated, because now you come out of that realizing, oh, I survived. And I know why I survived. I know who kept me, because, you know, you don't forget the times where you felt helpless.
So can I ask, because we all need somebody to talk to, right? Mm-hmm. Is the church a place? Mm-hmm. Is the pastor, the youth pastor, that's somebody that you should be able to go to to help you in those seasons?
If the question, yes, sir.
Oh, yeah, I was gonna say I think so. Yeah, I think just during that time, because of, you know, just the situation that I was in the COVID aspect, you know, church is online. Church, we're not physically there anymore, so it's just like, okay, I'm just watching this through a TV screen, you know, just watch on my phone, my iPad, my computer.
I'm gonna go with you don't have your youth pastor's phone number that you can pick up a phone and say, hey, we need to talk.
It was that, but also the feeling that I couldn't, not physically couldn't, but like emotionally, like I can't, because I feel like he will not understand. Or I feel like if I want to talk about it with somebody, they won't understand. Whether it's grown adult, young adult, someone who was my age, you know, I just felt like, why bother? Because I just don't feel like they would care. So it's not like, oh, they not right. You know, it could be like the number right there, just call it. It's like, I want to call because I feel like they don't, you know. So it's, but yeah, it was just that feeling that I had. But now it's like, yeah, of course, I have my pastors. They will ask me how I'm doing. I let them know what's going on. Sometimes they'll call me, or if I see them after church, I always try to make it a point to where I go say hi to them and, you know, shake hands with them. They'll ask me how I'm doing. I'll give them updates, and they say, hope, praying for you, hope everything works out. You know, even if it's just a 5-minute conversation, you know. Okay. So
I'm going to begin to sort of wrap this up, I think.
Yes, sir.
Generation Z. Lots of challenges, right?
Yes, sir.
In the midst of seeking, searching God, we life, right? And as we life, we're looking for no judgment zones, right? I think I'd asked if you were to develop, and you were a part of a church, and you were to develop a ministry for youth, teenagers, young adults, what would that look like? What would that be like? And what would that possibly include? Not looking for a whole dissertation, but if you can just sort of snapshot that for us. Understanding Gen Zs, understanding where you've been in your journey, if it's churched all your life or really churched as you have become a young adult. What would a ministry to Gen Zs, from your perspective, look like?
You mind if I jump this off, brother?
Yeah, I'm still like envision mine.
Absolutely, absolutely. Hopefully, some of the things I say too will help in your elaboration on yours too. Hopefully, vice versa. When I hear you speak, you know, I'm gonna try to make sure I can pull something from it. I believe first and foremost, it has to start with connection, because as I second you in what you just said to that last question of calling your youth pastor or your pastors, like, you have to first have a bond or a connection there, because speaking from my own experience, even when I got to HT, and as I got to know who now I consider as my grandpa Rev, still, like, I had to grow a connection there, because it started as, you know, I don't know you, you don't know me. And I think that the hurdle of being able to just pick up the phone and call somebody and open up and really say, this is what's going on in my life, like, that hurdle of trust is not, you can't walk around it. Like, you gotta actually do some work to build and cultivate that relationship, to even have that comfort level to call and say, man, Grandpa, this is what I'm facing right now. You know, this is what I've been going through, yada, yada, yada. It's like, that takes intentional time of building up a relationship, a friendship, and a bond. So I think that's where it has to start when you speak about the youth. You know, you cannot start with correction. You have to start with connection all the way through. And then you have to meet them at their level of what holds their attention. Because to try to use methods that used to work in the past does not guarantee you success for the present. So you have to look at where is society at now, and how do I incorporate the things that already have captured their mind. We know that this generation likes short things. This generation likes things fed to them quickly, and they like things cooked up quick. And you can either look at that like, well, this generation needs to change and get back to how it used to be, where you take your time and you know, you cook a home cooked meal, it take 45 minutes, but now it take 45 seconds. You pop it in the microwave, air fryer, like, it don't take no time. So when you talk about delivering a message that's going to actually seep into the hearts of this generation, it gotta be sharp. And by sharp, I mean that it has to be pinpoint, accurate, and precise. It can't be overly drawn out, because if it take you 5 minutes to get me your point, you lost me at the first minute and a half, because my mind went somewhere else. Because our minds through these devices are trained to only capture maybe the first 30 seconds. Then after that, we clicking out. It just is what it is, you know. So knowing that, you just have to use that to your advantage for this generation.
Yeah, that's exactly pretty much what you said, is because I was thinking about connection as well. You know, it's because I wouldn't want to go somewhere. I wouldn't want anyone to be anywhere where they don't feel like they can connect with others and feel a connection or see a connection and want to be a part of that as well. You know, because again, our attention spans are not as, you know, we want things so fast, we want things so quick. And it does come through our devices. You know, I'll be on social media. I'm at TikTok, Instagram. I might watch a video. I'm like, man, he's talking for a long time. It's taking a long time to be whatever this is, you know?
Yeah, video 30 seconds. Right. You only 15 seconds in, you having them thoughts like, man, get to the point.
What is the point of this video? You know, so it's, you know, so what is the point? Like, can we get to hurry up, all these things, you know? But again, like, everyone's faith, everyone's spirit, everyone's journey is different. So what might have worked for you might work for other people that show up, or might work for the people that have been here, but it might not, but it's not going to work for every single person. So you have to find a way how to find out what connects them and what connects others, and try to, mesh it, rather than just being like, oh, I'm only going to connect to this person and everybody else figure it out on yourself, figure it out on your own, because you want everybody to feel included. I don't think, because I've felt ways, not just in the church specifically, but just in other areas like class or organizations, where everybody else seems to feel like this same way, where I might feel a little different, but then I don't want to speak out because I feel like I don't have anyone in my corner. So therefore I might just be like, okay, I'm going to just not say anything, so you would want there to be a connection. You would want there to be understanding and open arms, but also you want someone that can say, I feel comfortable here and I enjoy being here, and not just, oh, I'm just here because I just want to go to church, and I leave, I'll just go back to doing what I was already doing. You want to be impacted and also make an impact while you're there. Because it's not just, oh, whoever is preaching, whoever's the leader is the leader and I can't learn things myself. We learn from others. Like, they learn it from you learn it from them as well. And it's not just, I'm 100% right and you got to learn from me, because we as adults, we as grown adults, we all make errors, we all make mistakes. We all learn from them. It's not, no one is going to say I'm 100% perfect, So again, just connection and just understanding, open arms, and relating to people in a way that you don't lose them so quickly, because again, we want things so fast. So understanding and relating to everybody, including everybody. So that's how I envision that.
And can I ask one last thing to that? In a very practical manner is what I'm saying with the connecting is, yes, connecting meaning like bonding. Like, I think that's always going to be the base of human to human connection, is face-to-face time with individuals. But then you also have to recognize that you have to connect on social media. So you have to have a social media presence, and it has to be a social media presence that looks engaging enough to keep the young adults and the Gen Zers attention on social media.
Okay.
Because you're not going to always, that's where they are. You're not going to always get them face to face, especially when I could go to YouTube and just watch any sermon in the world. Come on, what are you doing that's so special that's going to tell me that I need to show up to your church when I can show up to any church, quote unquote, via this device? And I think that's come with the fact that you got a social media presence that says, dang, this social media presence is so good, I want to go see them in person. And that's how a lot of it works. It's through TikTok and Instagram. I saw a reel. I felt something through that reel. I want to come see if it was real. Yeah.
I like that. That play on real. That play on real.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, fellas. Thank you for taking the time to come and hang out with me.
Yes, sir.
On this evening. Thank you for your sharing. And we'll be praying with you as you go back to school to finish your master's and continue. And young man, as you continue to work,
yes, sir,
and to train others,
yes, sir,
as they find themselves interested in boxing. And we have another conversation too that we're going to talk about, right?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
All right, grandson.
Yeah. I already know.
Thank you. And I want to thank you for joining us on this evening. Gen Zs. I think if it's Gen Z, if it's millennials, if it's Gen Xers, if it's boomers, right? The faith struggle is real. The faith struggle is real for all of us, and believe it or not, it's no less real for our teens, our young adults, and I'm going to say especially for our teens. The struggle is real. I believe it's important that we hear their voices, understanding that every experience is different. And we don't all grow at the same rate, but ours, seasoned saints, as we say in the church, ours is to walk with Him, not push them along, not pull them along, not tell them what they need to be doing, but to walk the journey with them. And we do it as we walk. We walk with patience. We walk, I'm going to say justly. Right? What does it mean to be fair? And our Gen Zs and our youth and young adult deserve to be treated justly.
Yes, sir.
Right? And we are to walk with them, extending grace, extending mercy. And most of all, we ought to walk with them in love.
Yes, sir.
Sincere,
Yes, sir.
earnest, true, agape love. The love that helps them to grow and to become. And if we're not doing it, we ought to ask the question, what's up with that? Thank you for joining us, and hope that you join us next time as we engage those things spiritual religious, as we try to dive just a little bit deep and ask the questions, what's up with that? Until then, be blessed.